all yours. Oh, you're...
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Sunil ji, and thank you, Prakash Bhai, for such a wonderful session. Radhe Radhe. Good morning and good evening to all of you. Welcome to Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita session. Radhe Radhe, Nitin ji, over to you.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Pallavi ji. Thank you, Prakash ji, for a wonderful session. Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen and we will get started with our opening prayers. So give me a sec. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, let's do our opening prayers and then we'll get started. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening once again to all of you. Let's get started. Today we will talk about Bhav, Bhakti, and we'll talk about those concepts. How do we nurture and what is the Bhav? How do we nurture it? Because it's an important thing or an important virtue to have or an important aspect that needs to be nurtured systematically for us to deepen our devotion. So let's get started. I'm going to recite this shloka and I've picked up another shloka which will help us drive our discussion forward in addition to this one. So we'll take a few hands on this one and the remaining on the other one. Shreyan dravyamayad yagyan Jnana yagya parantapa sarvam karmakhilam partha Jnane parisamapyate. Okay, let's take a few hands.
Radhe Radhe. Aparna ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Sveyan dravyamayadhyajnaj jnanayajnah parantapa sarvam karmakhilam partha jnane parisamapyate. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Shyam ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Shreyan dravyamaya yagya jnana yagya parantapa sarvam karma khilam partha jnane parisamapyate. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Shyam ji.
Priya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
Shreyan dravyamaya yajna jnana yajna parantapa sarvam karma khilam partha jnane parisamapyate.
Very nice. Thank you, Riya ji. So we'll take the remaining hands on the next shloka. This one, Lord Krishna is saying, O subduer of enemies, sacrifice performed in knowledge is superior to any mechanical material sacrifice. After all, O Parth, all sacrifices of work culminate in knowledge. So here it's talking about the sacrifices that you perform, they culminate in knowledge. Now let's look at the next shloka that I picked up. What God is saying here. He says, Tesham satata yuktanam Bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam yena mamupayanti te.
Rahul ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Tesham satat yuktana bhajatam priti purvakamaha dadami buddhi yogam tam ye nimamupayanti te. Radhe Radhe.
Okay, very nice, Rahul. Let's take a few more hands.
Preeti, Pragi ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
तेषां सततयुक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं येन मामुपयान्ति ते.
Thank you.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Let's take the last two hands.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam yena mamupayanti te.
Nice, thank you. Let's take the last one. Dinesh, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah. Tesam satatayuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam yena mamupayanti te. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Dinesh. Okay, I see two more hands. Go ahead, please.
I'll go ahead. Tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam yena mamupayanti te.
Nice, Pallavi ji. Thank you. Go ahead, Jyoti. Happy
Jyoti
birthday.
ji, yeah,
You're going to
Radhe
celebrate
Radhe,
your
please go ahead.
birthday. Many happy returns.
Thank,
Go
Happy
ahead.
birthday.
thank you, Nitin ji. Thank you, Pallavi ji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Tesam satatayuktanam bhajtam pritipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam yena mamupayanti te. Radhe.
Very nice, thank you. So this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying, okay, Shri Ramya, go ahead. Last one we can take. Go ahead, Shri Ramya.
Sri Ramya ji, please go ahead. I see her hand raised.
Okay, she's taken it down. Okay, so this shloka, if you look at it, Lord Krishna is saying, to those whose minds are always united with me in loving devotion, I give the divine knowledge by which they can attain me. Previously, the previous shloka that we spoke about, he said that austerities, those that sacrifices, they lead to knowledge, right? So, and here he's saying, when you do devotion, automatically you get knowledge. It's a very important concept. So when you do devotion, knowledge automatically happens. So we'll talk about that concept a little bit more as well, but let's get started. Okay, this is a video we'll watch later. Let's start with our soul soup segment for today. So we are doing success, happiness, and fulfillment series. So as part of that, today we are going to talk about one of the things that we need to be watching out for. What is that? We need to watch out for time to act is now. There's always a right time to do. Time is always right to do the right thing. So time to act is now. What does that mean? Let's try to understand that. We need to cure the disease of laziness. It is one of the biggest impediments on the path of spirituality for people who understand knowledge and still keep on postponing a lot of things. Such as, let's understand that. I am getting ready. People are, if you ask them what's stopping you from practicing some of the stuff or taking the next leap, and they'll say, I'm getting ready. And if you ask them after a year, they are still getting ready. They don't realize, but this is basically becomes a excuse. Okay. So much so that it is also called, I will do it on one of these days. It is procrastination. and your mind is playing tricks. It always is thinking, you know what, let me do this first and then I'll do that, or I'm getting ready. But the point is, no matter where we are, whatever we have understood, it's about time to implement that. Time to act is now. Don't postpone or delay it, because this habit of procrastination is basically um, it brings about our downfall lifetime after lifetime. So if you look at it, let's say we were supposed to live for 1,000 years. We had an age of 1,000 years. So then you will keep on postponing. Okay, let me not prioritize spirituality. I have to take care of this. These are the things which are more important to me. And once I'm towards the fag end of my life, maybe that's when I would think about it. So you're postponing it or procrastinating it. And that cycle continues. So even if you are going to live for 1,000 years, still at some point in time, you'll have to break this habit of procrastination. Or if you don't break it, then in the next lifetime, you will continue to have that habit. And then this whole cycle continues. Your mind will keep giving you reasons why you cannot make spirituality or aligning to spiritual principles your priority, because we have time. We'll do it. Our priorities are different, right? So we keep on procrastinating it. And then the other thing is, there are some people, it's like they wait for all the traffic lights to turn green. It is called excusitis. You know, right now I have this problem going on in my life, and right now once this is solved, then I will really, prioritize it. So it never changes. They say, right, you don't wait for the rain to pass, you get out on the rain and dance. That is how the life is meant to be. And mind will give you excuses that I'll be right now having this problem, after I'll fix this and then I will make this a priority. But the point is, life will always keep on giving us some or another problem. And then I'm still analyzing. And sometimes we fall into the trap of analyzing forever, right? You keep on analyzing, and then paralysis by analysis, where we don't take the next step. Knowledge remains knowledge because we keep on weighing options and stuff like that. And the time keeps on passing us by. So the point here is, the secret of success lies in rejecting all such unproductive thoughts. They are called unproductive thoughts, nothing more than that. And using the present moment to the best of our ability. And this is the way to build a successful future. If you don't utilize the present moment, keep on waiting, keep on procrastinating, then it is not very productive for us, and we keep wasting time around it. So this is an important concept to understand, because procrastination, like Lord Krishna had said, that people approach him, even people who are seekers, they approach him. But then, why are they not able to take the next step? That is the procrastination. Even after understanding the knowledge, they keep on postponing it, that I have time, or I know this is important, but I have other priorities. So that's something we need to be keeping a constant watch on. Okay, so hopefully that gives some food for thought, or roll for the soup for the day. Now let's look at a short video it's a short video to recap some of the things that we've been talking about. I'll make the speed a little more than normal so that we can quickly cover it. 1.25 should be good. All right, let's see that.
So Lord Krishna is now distinguishing.
Are you able to hear it? Great.
Between a mechanical activity and an activity done with knowledge, with sentiments. Now the mechanical sacrifices are also mentioned in the scriptures. You go for pilgrimage to the holy place, but it becomes a physical drill. Like if you go to Gujarat, when I do intercity travel in Gujarat, half the people are on the road. Somebody is walking to Ambaji, somebody is walking to Dakor, somebody is walking to Dwarka. They're doing physical marching to the holy places, which is good. It's something is better than nothing. But this will not lead to God realization, because the mind has not been engaged. And the mind is the important thing. Kabirji says, look, you have been doing that for many lifetimes now. Mala pherat yuga phera, phirana managa phera. For many lifetimes you have been chanting the names of God. Karaka manaka darike, manaka manaka pher. Now put this down and chant the beads of the mind. So of course, somebody can ask, that in all our scriptures, chanting of God's name is praised so much. And that is why people are of the opinion and just chant Ram Ram and all work will be done. And Tulsidas has even said, Jasu Nama Sumirata Ikabara Utarahu Nara Bhava Sindhu Apara. Just say Ram and you will cross over the ocean of life and death. So all of us say Ram. So you have crossed over the ocean of life. But the point is, your own experience says it has not happened. The scripture is telling us, but it has not happened. So why did the scripture tell us something like that? It wanted us to get into the activity somehow or the other. Like parents, they make their child do pranam in the temple. Now the child doesn't know, but the parents force the child. When I go to India, they force their child to do pranam to Swamiji. Swamiji, go, pranam karo. Now the child doesn't know what Swamiji, what pranam, so they take the child's head and put it down. The child goes, bah! But the parents are teaching the child the physical act. That for now you learn the physical act and the bhav, the sentiment will get added later on. So with that in mind, the stories of Ajamil, of Valmiki are given. For Ajamil, it is said, that he just somehow said Narayan and he was actually remembering his child. And then he went off to Golok. People say, really? Then I should also say Narayan, Narayan. Now they're going on saying Narayan, Narayan, Narayan for years and years and nothing is happening. Then they will come to this verse where Lord Krishna says, this will not suffice now. Now add the bhav, add the sentiment. And how will the bhav, a sentiment come? How will you develop the bhav? It will come by bringing the correct knowledge to your intellect. Now, there is a chair. I come to your house and there's a chair. So I have no reverence to it. Swamiji, when such and such great soul had visited my house, he sat on that chair. And now we look at it differently. Really? The chair is the same, but the knowledge is there. So and so had sat on it. When Kripaluji Maharaj came to my house, he sat on it. Oh, Kripaluji Maharaj sat on it. So now the bhav towards the chair is changing. How? By bringing the knowledge to the intellect. Likewise, you are chanting now, Krishna, 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 Krishna. So bring the knowledge. Krishna, who is Krishna? He is my soul beloved. He says, I am sitting in my name. And with this faith, now you say Krishna. If our faith, our sentiment is deep enough, we will faint on taking the name. That is the bhav, that is the sentiment. It is in that sentiment that the sacrifice finds its consummation. So Lord Krishna says something very beautiful. See, knowledge will create sentiments. And the sentiments, your bhakti, will lead to knowledge. When you engage in bhakti, you automatically develop knowledge. And this knowledge comes from the inside. That is the realization. Ved Vyas has written, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayatyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadahitukam. By engaging in bhakti, knowledge will automatically arise from within. Bhakti is the activity of the soul. When you do bhakti, your soul nature will wake up. So self-knowledge will come by realization. Oh, now you can see, I am not the body. I am not the mind also. I am not the intellect also. I am the soul. The Jnani reaches the soul realization through lifetimes of sadhana. And the Bhakt, merely by engaging in bhakti, experiences self-knowledge through realization. So Lord Krishna says that all these sacrifices will result in realized knowledge. So how will you get knowledge? Through a guru. That is what he is going to tell us next. Boli.
Okay. So let's continue. I think this is where we were discussing. So Swamiji brought about the concept of bhav, right? Now, Jnani, it can take them a lot of lifetimes to come to that level of to understand that finally they have to do devotion and surrender. But Bhakt is engaging in that activity right from the word go, because that's the activity of the soul itself. And we need to decorate our sentiments. So let's talk a little bit about Bhav and devotion, right? We said, Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam, that shloka 10:10 that we looked at. So let's understand, what is the Bhav? We need to decorate and enhance our Bhav. What is Bhav actually? Let's understand that. So Bhav is the richness of the sentiment towards God. A richness of the sentiment. How do you feel? How do you intensify it? That is the key. It is said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, here, in Jagannath Puri, he would never go too close to the deity, because he thought that if I go too close to the deity, then, and if I find any imperfection in that deity, it may dilute my bhav. So he would look at it from a distance only, because he wanted to preserve his bhav. So there's a lot of importance of bhav. In fact, when we realize God in his personal form, we get a bhav day as well, depending upon the sentiments that we have nurtured. So bhav is very important. And then when he would look at the deity, even from far, his fingers, he would feel so much of heat, intense feeling, that, that finger, it melted the stone actually where he was putting the finger. And I think that those imprints are still there. So the point here is that we need to figure out ways to enrich and decorate our sentiments. That is essentially what bhav is. And they say you take a bow of knowledge, then put an arrow of devotion, and then on the tip of the arrow, put the bhav, and then shoot, march forward in your devotion, basically. So bhav is very, very important. It's a richness of the sentiment that you cultivate. It is not something which is bestowed from heavens. You have to decorate it, enrich it, and give yourself enough reasons and triggers, whether it is listening to satsang, whether it is immersing yourself in a kirtan and thinking about the leelas, or contemplating upon how, what all God does basically for us, or who God is and how he can actually fulfill our self-interest. Okay, so those bhavs have to be cultivated. If it comes naturally to you, you are blessed. It is basically God has gifted you because you have done that in your previous lifetime. But if you don't get those, then we need to nurture those. That's how it goes. And preserve it as well. And devotion is the quality of the bhav that we possess. Right? If these are some of the definitions. Bhav is the richness of the sentiment towards God, and devotion is the quality of the bhav that we possess. Okay, this is how it goes. And this is the secret sauce to enable the leap towards God realization. You have to keep on decorating your bhav, okay, and deepening it on a day-to-day basis. Let's move forward. So when we do that devotion, what all happens? Let's understand that. When you're doing devotion, you are, the bliss, joy, peace, and knowledge. We all crave for that. What happens? You automatically, it keeps on increasing with time. Swamiji said that, he's referring to in his lecture that when we do devotion, the realized knowledge is revealed from within. How does it happen? Let's understand the technicality of it, right? We are already pure. The soul is pure in itself, but it is covered with so many layers. I know that in layers, it's like a dewdrop gets covered with so much of mud, and that mud is the dirty antakaran, or the intellect that we carry, intellect and mind that we carry. As it starts getting purified, it gets closer to its true self, right? Which is like perfect knowledge, or is already there, and the knowledge starts shining forth. So it's like the previous sages, they did not read a lot of books and stuff like that. Those sages used to be scientists at that time. The term bhugol came so many thousands of years back, even before Galileo and Copernicus. They were, having that heliocentric theory and stuff like that. Bhugol, if you look at Varavatar in our scriptures, he's lifting the earth, which is shown as round. So they would simply download the knowledge, or it gets revealed from within. So as you progress in devotion, one of the symptoms that you would experience is that you will get closer to the bliss, joy, peace that we always crave for. and the knowledge will start getting revealed from within. You will be surprised to see so many knots that you had will start getting unraveled. So, and it's like you just know, you have not read it, you just know. It makes sense. It starts happening all by itself. And that is what the God is saying in Shloka 10.10 that we looked at as well, that he reveals the knowledge from within. He's seated within, and purer you have become, the more he has given you the knowledge. You realize knowledge from within, and you don't even need to seek that. And you will realize that on this path, that a lot of things will just start falling in place all by themselves. You might think you have a lot of questions, but they will start getting resolved. That is the beauty of this path. Okay. And of course, the quotient of bliss, joy, peace, that will start increasing over time as well. Now, the second part is the ignorance. Of course, when you do bhakti, if you're getting knowledge, then ignorance is getting removed automatically, because the more cleaner we become from inside, then the ignorance is also getting removed. And when you do bhakti, there's the lust, greed, envy, all these mental afflictions will start decreasing as well automatically. Okay, you don't have to work on that. These will automatically be taken care of. It is said that you can't grow a mango on a hilltop. Why? Because the weather on a hilltop is not conducive for the growth of mango. Similarly, the vices, they get weeded out automatically from a pure devotional heart. You don't have to put in effort. They start diminishing, and finally they will be wiped out. Okay, that is the beauty of bhakti. You just purify the vessel, and everything will start falling in place by itself. It's just a byproduct of it. That is the power of bhakti. And that is why bhakti is one-stop shop solution for so many things. It's a one-stop shop. You just do bhakti, devotion. And when I say devotion, that means you have to enrich your sentiment. Right? The previous slide that I showed you, the devotion basically means all these things that we spoke about. The bhav has to be enriched, decorate the bhav, and the sentiment, we have to keep on enriching it, and the quality, of course. So in that way, bhakti is one stop. It's like a Swiss Army knife. You just do one thing and everything will be taken care of. That is the beauty of it. And it is the recommended path as well. It is an easier path to start off with, and the only path to realize God as well. God has not made it difficult or complicated for us that we have to do some, difficult, complicated things to realize him. He's made it very easy. We have made it difficult for ourselves in that sense. Now let's move on. Have you ever wondered, how do we decorate our bhav? Okay, let's talk about some fundamental questions here and see whether or how it can help us enrich our bhav or sentiments towards God. Who facilitates a human birth for us? Think about it. Who's facilitating it for us? It's God himself. Isn't it a good reason for us to feel gratitude towards God and deepening our bhav? Wow, you have given me this opportunity. We take it for granted, right? We are born, so what's the big deal? We are here and as if we are entitled to it. Not necessarily. So God is facilitating a human birth for us because he's merciful. And then who runs our body when we are sleeping? We are not even aware who we are when we are in deep sleep. We spoke about this concept, right? So much of work is going on in our body. About 40 factories worth of work is going on quietly, silently. Who's running it for you? God's energy is running it for you. Okay, he's taking care of it, even though it's such a complex machinery. Who provides for the earth? When you simply get down, the earth is simply taking on that burden. Who's providing this whole earth? For that matter, water, air, food, grains for us that we need to subsist ourselves. It's not a straightforward thing. In COVID times, there was a guy, right, who was suffering from the lung infection, and then he had to be put on a ventilator support. And when the hospital authorities slapped him a bill of, thousands of dollars, he let out a tear in his eye. He said, for all these years, God has been giving me free oxygen. and I've not paid him back. And here in the hospital, just for 10 days, they have slapped me a bill of, I don't know, $40,000-$50,000. So that is free that we get, that we take for granted. Water, when you are thirsty, just think about it. If we did not have water, what we would have done? Food, for that matter. And that to specific food that we need during a particular season. When winters come, God knows that vitamin C would be needed by our gums, right? So he gives us citrus fruits, things which are really needed for us at particular moment, right? Then who provides us the ability to learn and earn? We think of ourselves as a big deal, have that silent pride about our accomplishments and achievements, but think of it, who gives us the wisdom and even the ability to think and be able to learn things, grasp knowledge, and execute it so that we can utilize it for our livelihood. It's all abilities bestowed to us by God, if we think deeply about it. Who is accompanying us across the lifetimes, no matter which cross body we take? So even if we become a donkey, God will accompany us. Nobody else will, but God will. Okay. Regardless of which cross body you are in, he has to accompany you. There's no other way. He does that. Who, although we don't acknowledge, is both our protector and witness. We don't acknowledge whether God is there or not, right? We put a question mark on it as well, especially people who are from an atheistic belief system. But then he's our protector and witness all the time. Although we are playing a game of a perfect justice system right now, but then within that framework, he's not only our witness, but a protector as well in so many ways. And then who keeps on waiting patiently for us to take the first step towards him? That is also God. As a lot of you would have realized, when you took the first step, or you started making spirituality a priority, the floodgates would have opened up. So many questions that you asked, somewhere or another, you will start getting answers to it. You'll start coming across things, topic, people. Even if you go through the TV channel, something will come that the question that was troubling you in the mind, you will start getting answers for that. Somehow that knowledge will start coming in. That's where, because God knows now that you are making him a priority, it enables him to open up his hands and grace as well. And then who's waiting to give us all that he has and delights in serving us? That is also God. These are all the things that we don't really contemplate or think deeply about. But then this is how God is. If you read through scriptures, you will understand that, in fact, God is delighted to serve us as his own devotees. It is said that he relishes the dust of the foot of his devotees, and he always walks beside his devotees so that he can relish that dust. Who else will do that in this material world, right? Nobody will. And he's waiting to give us everything. It's like a father wanting to give its son everything that he has, but he has to make him ready first of all, right? And then, of course, who reciprocates our feelings without fail? Anybody in this world can do that? Nobody. But God, as per his divine rule, is obliged to do that. That shloka is there, right? Ye yatha mam prapadyante tastathaiva bhajamyaham. That to the same intensity, at the same moment, to the same at that very moment, in the same emotion, he has to reciprocate. Okay, that is what his rule is. So there are tons of other things we can think, but these are some of the things that usually we don't think too much about, and some of these things we take for granted. But if we think deeply about it, it'll help us think about, oh my God, God is my real relative, and he's been doing so many things for me, kind of a deal, right? So, but each one to it, we need to similarly have things that can help us deepen our sentiment and think about it seriously and deeply. Any questions so far on bhav, sentiments, and what all triggers we can use to have that overwhelming feeling for God? And the other day, somebody was asking Swamiji in SMX that for their parents, he feels guilty, he's not doing enough. I think he's probably in US or somewhere, something like that. So God said, of course, you have a duty there as well, but when you will deeply think about your spiritual parents, and you'll think what all they have been doing for you, that will also bring tears to your eye when you truly think about that, because they have been doing so much for us, so across so many lifetimes, and patiently waiting for us. And what have we done for our spiritual parents so far? Nothing whatsoever. We don't even spare a moment to think about it deeply. Yes, Pallavi?
Radhe Radhe Nitin ji. Michelle ji has asked a question. Do we know what types of practices the rishis were doing? when they realized so much knowledge? Were they human?
So rishis, we were talking about, right, the categories of rishis. So if rishis are like jivatmas, like they could be like us, and then they could have realized God, depending upon the era in which they were born. Like in Satyug and all, they had the ability to, live for long. They had very sound intellect as well, right? Once they would listen, they would remember, and they have the ability, discipline, and control over their mind to perform austerities as well. So in every era, there are different set of things. Like in Satyug, I think in Dwapar, I think Yagya was the thing. In Satyug, austerities is the buzzword. So for different eras, the yardsticks are different. And for Kalyug, the era in which we are in, the Harinam is the Harinam means just remembrance, and chanting of God. God's name is the way to salvation. When I say salvation, that means that also includes acquiring the perfect knowledge that we are talking about. So those rishis that we are talking about, they could have followed any path, right? They could have done sacrifices, austerities, or pure devotion, depending upon the era that they were in. Because end of the day, you have to purify yourself. Either you can do it through devotion, which is the recommended path in the age of Kali, which we are in, or you can perform severe austerities. You can achieve purification through that as well. Finally, you have to surrender to God. So there are different rishis, and depending upon their propensities, they would have achieved that. But if one can do it, all of us can do it. That is the key message. Swami Vivekanand had said that if one soul can achieve super consciousness, one soul who's in flesh and blood like us can achieve super consciousness, then so can you and I as well. That is the whole idea. Hope I answered your question, Michelle. Any other questions?
I don't see any hand raised.
Okay.
Neither in the chat right now.
Bhav, sentiment, devotion is the key. And the key message, if you look at it here, is again, I'm going to tie both hands here in the shloka that we have been discussing. Okay, so the shloka that we are talking about here, saying the sacrifice performed in knowledge. So it's talking about sacrifices and then the knowledge. Knowledge is very important. And then the sacrifice is a means to attain knowledge. Okay, so knowledge is the buzzword in the shloka. And the second shloka that I picked up in this, God is saying, for those whose minds are always united with me in loving devotion, the bhav and the devotion that we spoke about, I give the divine knowledge by which they can attain me. He himself gives the divine knowledge. Knowledge gets revealed. So devotion is a cool thing to do basically. Okay, you delegate so many things to God. You simply do loving God and rest all will happen by itself. And that is where we need to find ways to deepen our devotion and bhavs, because those bhavs will fritter away and a devotee is very careful to preserve those. We don't let those bhavs fritter away just like that, and then give ourselves enough reasons to have that overwhelming feeling for God in whatever way it comes. That will help us deepen and nurture those bhavs on an ongoing basis. Okay, any questions?
Yeah, Abhaji has asked a question.
Mhm.
People talk about dreams. Is that purely subconscious? And could it be from this lifetime and past lifetimes? So we shouldn't give it a lot of thought. Is that correct?
Yeah. In the path of devotion, we don't need to give a lot of importance to our dreams, actually. So it could be it could be arising from your conscious or subconscious mind as well, right? Activated subconscious mind, and subconscious is something that you have acquired across multiple lifetimes. We could be schizophrenic and stuff like that, but dreams is something we should not pay too much attention to. This is a question asked to Swamiji in multiple forums, and I've heard his response around it. In India, people gives a lot of importance. Oh my God, this dream has had some relation to something that is going to happen now because we got this dream in the morning. Now it is going to become a reality and all that stuff. But fact of the matter is, we should not pay too much attention to our dreams. That has nothing to do with the reality. and the fact that it is a sign of something to come or something like that. Nothing of that sort. I'll not pay too much attention. Yeah, if your guru and God decide to give you a dream to show you something or make you aware of something, that is a different thing. But typically our dreams, we don't have to read too much into it. Yes, Shyamji.
Yes, Shyamji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. As in Karam Kand, we have very careful about the knowledge we have in shlokas or whatever we do to please God. But when we do with Bhav, I guess we do not pay much heed to all those things. Is that so? We just do with Bhav.
That is Raganuga Bhakti versus Vaidhi Bhakti. Now, Vaidhi Bhakti is rule-driven Bhakti. You have to do it right. Okay, rule-driven means, okay, you have to do 3 times like this and this many chants, and it has to be done with right hand, left hand, all that rule-driven stuff. When you get into Raganuga Bhakti, love is the predominant emotion. Nothing else matters at that point. Raganuga means you forget about etiquettes and formalities, but the predominant emotion has to be love. If you look at Shabri, what she did she follow any decorum? It's God who the president of the universe, right? The ultimate president of the universe has come to her place to meet him, and what is she serving him? The bears, that too, which she has tasted from her mouth. And for that matter, when Lord Krishna comes to Vidurani, what kind of a decorum it is? She's serving him the peels of the banana, not even a proper banana, right? But God said it. I loved it because it was given with bhav. So in Raganuga Bhakti, the love is at the forefront. Rest all takes a back seat. You don't worry about rules, protocols, and decorums and all that stuff. But the key ingredient is love. But in Vaidhi Bhakti, you go by rules and stuff like that. Right?
So it's okay we do with love, Bhav. We should not care much about all those things. Is that okay?
Bhav, love has to be there. Then you don't have. You don't have to get into military bhakti. It does not have ras in it. It becomes mechanical beyond a point. It is called a military bhakti. Salute, do this, do that kind of a deal. Then you lose the essence of it, and then you get hung up in rituals and stuff like that, right? You are in Raganuga Bhakti, make the most of it, but don't use Raganuga Bhakti as an excuse not to, do that. It's like, what do you call that? We have to really practice that, and then God is more than happy, actually. We don't have to get hung up in rituals and stuff like that in that case. So that's a difference.
Thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
There's a story in Krishna Leela, right, Mahabharata, that where Ram and Balram, they were feeling hungry one day. Okay, I may not know the complete story, but I'll tell you in quickly. So they were feeling hungry, and they go to a near village where some of the Shat Ved, Shastri and Chaturvedis and all, they were doing yagya. So they said, give us food. There was food. He said, hey, don't you see, we are seeing yagya here, and they were doing all the Sastranama and big chanting and all that stuff. Seriously, you see people do that way. So they asked for food. Now think of it, God is asking for the offering, and they are saying we are doing offering to the yagya. Now that is a means to offer to God only, and they are saying no, we are too busy. They kept on doing that, and then the request went to their wives, and when they with lovingly served them basically, and then it automatically basically served the purpose of the yagya itself. Now you're not serving God, and you are hung up on the ritual itself. So even God comes, you'll say no, give me a side, I have to finish off my job. So love takes a back seat in Vaidhi Bhakti, and in Raganuga Bhakti, rituals and mechanical practice takes a back seat. Bhakti actually is param swatantra. It is not dependent on gyan or karma or rituals. Bhakti is independent in itself. It can exist on itself. It does not need a support of knowledge. It does not need a support of karam kand or a ritual. So Bhakti Rani is param swatantra in that sense. Let's understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Nitinji. Radhe Radhe, Sandhya ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, related few lines. Can I just say them, like not sing or something, but भाव का भूखा हूं मैं, बस भाव ही एक सार है, भाव से मुझको भजे तो उसका बेड़ा पार है। अन्न धन अरु वस्त्र भूषण कुछ न मुझको चाहिए, आप हो जाए मेरा बस पूरन यह सत्कार है। भाव बिन सुना पुकारे मैं कभी सुनता नहीं, भाव की एक टेर ही करती मुझे लाचार है। भाव बिन सब कुछ भी दे तो मैं कभी लेता नहीं, भाव से फूल भी दे तो मुझे स्वीकार है। जो भी मुझ में भाव रखकर आते हैं मेरी शरण, मेरे और उसके हृदय का एक रहता तार है।
वाह
That's it.
वाह 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 वाह
Beautiful line. Wow.
very nice. Thank you for editing that. Yeah, I know, heard it from Swamiji as well, so thank you Sandhya for that. They say, right, कृष्ण कृष्ण सब रटे, ठग ठाकुर और चोर, प्रेम बिना रीझे नहीं, कृष्ण नंद किशोर. So Krishna Krishna, Thug Thakur Chor, everybody can say that. But Prem Bina Rijhe Nahi, Krishna Nand Kishore. The only thing that can entice God or enslave God is the love. That is the key. Great. Thank you, Sandhya. Vinamra 7, Hyderabad, Rupa ji and Vinod ji, please go ahead. We have taken your tag a little too seriously. Please go ahead.
Radhe, Radhe, everyone.
Radhe Radhe.
Actually, I wanted to ask one question regarding the bhakti. You said, like, if there is love, we don't need to follow any rules. Yes. So my point is,
You
if
have.
someone, if someone says, like, without taking bath also, they can do the prasad, they can enter the mandir. How well it is, in which category I can consider that?
See, if you're using your laziness for that, that is a different thing. But then when you are in love, the rules will automatically follow, right? But what if you're not well? Are you not going to do puja in that case?
No, not well case, normally. Because I have seen some of the elderly people, they say that I don't have anything,
Swamiji,
I can do anything.
If you really feel the bhav about it, then there are no rituals that do not matter at that point, basically. It's the emotion for the connect that you feel, that is more important than anything else at that point. You can ask Swamiji that part. Now, the point here is, time is always right to do the right thing. Now, will you not think about God if you have not been able to take a bath or something like that? Probably not, I would say. But ask Swamiji that question. As far as I know, there's no matter where you go, what you are doing, if you're taking God's name, God is called Pavan, right? He can purify anything. So it will not really matter.
But then if, Nitinji, I had a point here, that if we are going to offer something like as pure, as pious, as like for God, if we are doing anything, when we are doing it, when our mind is pure, we want to keep everything pure. We decorate everything, we clean everything. So why we will not take bath and then offer food?
Rules will automatically follow. That's what I'm saying. When we somebody, the rules will automatically follow. You don't do it out of pressure at that point. You feel like doing it.
Yeah, the rules will start following. That is
rules will follow automatically. You would like to do the best for them, right? But then it's not a precondition, is essentially what I was trying to say, right? If you're not well, will you stop doing bhakti? No, you will not.
No.
People talk about sutak also. Then sutak, like somebody passes away, then you don't do devotion. Is that the right thing? Answer is no. Why would you do that? That becomes a rule-driven kind of a thing, right? A devotee says, my life is full of sutak because God has, vanished from my life. So my sutak continues forever. That is why I'm doing devotion, so that he can come back. So rules are, rules will automatically follow, is what I'm trying to say here, is that rule don't take the center stage here. So you don't do it. It's like, would you do 108 chants, that complete the quota for the day, or would you do 10 chants, but your eyes are, you're feeling overwhelmed with emotion? Which one is better? The 10 chants would be better, right? It's not about the numbers at that point. It's about the feeling, the intensity that you're able to generate. That is the key thing. It's quality over quantity when it comes to God.
Yeah. Thank you.
But we should not
Monica ji?
use laziness as an excuse, right?
Yeah.
To say everything is raga nuga, basically. That's a personal call we'll have to take. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Yes, Monica ji.
Radhe Radhe, Monica ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Well, thank you for asking that question. And like Nitinji said, I wanted to one more thing, that a lot of times our parents and elders, they tell us to take
Your voice is breaking.
Taking.
Is it any better now?
Yeah,
Yes.
better. Yeah.
It was breaking. We missed.
Is it any better?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The first part. Is it any better now?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
go ahead.
So I was saying that yes, I was saying that I wanted to repeat what Nitinji said, and also add one more point, that when our elders tell us to, take bath and then go in front of goddess, a lot of us, we don't understand the thin line between why shouldn't we do that. People say that bhav hai, you can, just ignore all these things. And then a lot of people, they don't even realize that they're actually taking it as an excuse. Because when you love God, there are so many things that you will automatically do. When you're not pure yourself, I mean, of course, you can't do anything, about purity inside of your man or whatever. But then at least you would want to take shower and then go in front of God, right? So these things will follow automatically. People don't even have to tell you. But many people, they don't understand the thin line between this. So which is why these are not the rules. But then just so that you don't take things for granted, these things are like, being said by the elders.
Yeah. Rules automatically follow. You want to do the best,
Yeah.
right? It's like you're going to meet somebody whom you love. You want to be at your best version. Right?
Best version.
Right.
It's the same thing. Automatic. You don't have to put an effort for that. Yeah, that's true.
Radhe Radhe.
Great point, Monica ji. Thank you. Jyoti ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. So here, I would also like to add a point, and if you find it's not appropriate, please forgive me. But I do remember in some of Swamiji's lecture, he did said that it doesn't matter where you are. So even if you are in a washroom or restroom, don't feel like that you cannot remember God. God is present everywhere. It's just your bhav which matters. And as Nitinji has also mentioned that in Sutak usually priest or everyone says not to remember God, but Swamiji has mentioned it very clearly. It doesn't matter because what is inside you, that is important, and your bhav is important. Thank
Yeah.
you, Radhe.
That's what rules will follow. It's not like you negate that. It will automatically follow. But if you are in a situation, you don't take that situation, okay, this is not the right place for me to think about God. No, never the case. Okay. So we should be fearless around that. Yeah, Sandhya, what would I add? Samji.
Go ahead, Sandhya ji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Yeah, just one thing is, of course, there is one main rule, right? In our Raga Nuga Bhaktis, whatever takes us close to God, do that, and whatever doesn't, don't. So it could be taking bath is taking us feel close, getting close to God, sure. But as Jyoti also pointed out, like we have all rights to remember, and rather we should try to 24/7, right? Remembrance of God can be done anywhere, anytime. So yeah, this is, and one more thing I wanted to add is, all that being said, we should try to refrain from judging anyone else based upon the externals, whether they are doing or not doing, because we can never understand what is the internal state that they are in, right? Yeah, that's it.
All these principles are for us not to evaluate anybody else. That is a trap. So there are only two, vidhi or nishedh. Our scriptures, if you look at our scriptures, it talks about tons of vidhis and nishedhs. Vidhi means do's, nishedh means don'ts, do's and don'ts. Tons of them in the scripture. But when you get into Raganuga Bhakti, there is only one vidhi and one nishedh. One vidhi is anything that takes your mind to God, do it. Nishedh is anything that takes your mind away from God, don't do it. Simple. Very simple thumb rule. You can apply to any walk of anything in your life. Is it taking my mind to God? Do it fearlessly. Is it taking my mind away from God? Don't do it. Simple rule, very simplified part. Thank you for bringing that. Yes, Samji.
Samji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. I think partially you already answered it. Some situations can be like that. I mean, normally I do my yoga, pranayama, and all those things, and then take shower, and then pray, and then have a breakfast. But in the summer, sometime in gardening, some situations are there that they will be very hot, and that's why you want to do those certain things in the early morning. So you can eat something, and then while working outside, tilling the grounds, and doing other activities, I talk to the nature and pray to God, saying whatever you do it. So that should be acceptable as the Vidi is saying it. It's not a changed thing. So bath and all those things the rules are not following the me.
Yeah, so if I go by Vidhi, initiate anything that takes your mind to God, do it. Anything that does not take, do not do it, right? That is a simplified process Maharajji gave. So anything that helps you take your mind
By
to
the
God.
same token, I think sometimes the ISKCON people, ISKCON and many others also in some temples, they do not take the food which has onions and garlic and all those things, and they are trying to be very, if you go to the toilet, they will take a shower and then they will enter the temple. Maybe they have to go 10 times for the toilet number 2, and then does it make any sense? Or
it is Vaidhi Bhakti, bit rule driven in that case, and so that is where if you are actually making love as the at the core of your devotion, then those rules can take a backseat. Is essentially what the message is, right? Right. And somebody asked this question to Swamiji that we go out to restaurants and they put onion and garlic, and then somebody asks us, okay, do you eat outside? Then what do we say? What do we tell them, right? They said, don't tell them. Basically, he smilingly said that. Yeah, so these things do not affect so much. We can get into, I may open up a can of worms here. If you look at it, what do you want basically? If you are looking at having onion and garlic for taste, then it's a problem. But if you simply have it, as it has a medicinal aspect of it as well, then it's not going to derail your journey unless it's like you want to go for that food purely for the sake of taste itself, right? It's like I cannot have my food if I don't have a lot of onion and garlic in it. That's not the case. I don't think it would derail your journey so much, or will have such a big impact on your journey as such, especially if you are focused on nurturing your devotion for God. So it has an impact, but not to an extent that you will worry about it, right? Swamiji complain about it or making a rule around it. Basically, he goes to so many houses, and if he starts thinking I have to prepare my food and stuff like, I don't think he can survive. So these things do carry for people who who are basically aspirants, I would say. But once you understand the deeper principles around it, I don't think we need to pay too much attention to it, especially if you are not addicted to certain food items that you absolutely must need to have it in your food. But what do you do? I mean, if you are practically, if you go somewhere and stuff like that, then at least I haven't heard from Swamiji that you need to pay so much attention around it.
By the same logic, one of the Shiva episodes in the past was showing that Shikari and his wife, they were very much devoted to Shiva. And luckily one day Shiva came and they offered the best food. What is their best food is the non-veg, whatever they got, the good shikar, made it and all that. So Shiva ate it, I mean, reluctantly, to giving the excitement to we darshaks, but he ate it, which is because of his devotion.
There used to be there's a story, right? There's a bheel, there's a guy, there's a pandit who used to put water on shivling, and then he would see a lot of flesh, raw flesh, along with water on that shivling every day. And one day he decided to see who's doing it, and he would see a hunter would come, and then he would have raw flesh and he would offer it on the shivling. And then since his hands were filled with flesh, he will fill the water in his mouth and pour it over the shivling. And when he saw that, he said, it's blasphemy. I can't even tolerate it. What is he doing? Right? So he chastised that hunter. Don't you know it is a shivling? There is a vidhi to be followed when you do the puja of shivling. This is not the way. But then Shiv manifested. He said, what you do and what he did, I enjoyed his ritual more than what you did. Even though he was doing it as per the Vedic thing. But what Hunter was doing was more with Bhav, and that's the best he knew at that point. So God said that was much more appealing to me, much more touching to me, as opposed to what you do, because you are doing it more as a ritualist thing every day. But what he did was, he did not know, he did not have anything better to offer, and he would carry all that stuff to offer to me, and I accepted it. That's a story, actually, to put this thing in perspective.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you, Samji. Yeah, let's move on. Thank you for waiting. Rahulji, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. On the same lines of love and remembrance, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also mentioned 2 lines. So he said that Bahu Janma Kare Yadi Shravan Kirtan Tabhav Na Paye Krishna Pade Premna. So that is why that love remembrance is super important. That is the Atma, I should say, of Bhakti. Like Maharaji says, root hands. Radhe Radhe.
The soul of bhakti, actually, remembrance. Thank you for bringing that, Rahul.
Thank you,
Great.
Rahulji.
Let's take a couple of Annapurna ji, and then we can
Yeah,
pick
we
it.
have a couple of hands. Yeah. Annapurna ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
You were saying about the story of a man, who used to get the water in his mouth, and he is Kannappa, because, there is, other day, Nitinji, he was talking about, spider and elephant and serpent worshipping. That's the same temple, where the same Kannappa was doing that, and then Shivaling started bleeding, Shiva's eyes, and then he takes out his eye, and then he keeps it, and then just to know where he has to place the second eye, he puts his feet on the god's exact position where he has to place the his eye. That temple is very almost close to Tirupati. Now where the Swamiji is having the retreat. That is, I think, considered as I think Vayulinga or something else. It is right there, that Beda Kannappa, that temple. Very very ancient temple.
Thank you, Annapurna ji.
Just reminded of that story because they had made the movie in our language, and I remember seeing that. So I know, yeah. God looks at his devotion more than anything, what he does, Yeah, because he was not aware of any knowledge or anything, just, devotion.
Thank you, Annapurna ji.
Yeah.
I think
Thank
that
you.
has a lot of legends associated with that story. So, yep, thank you again. Yes, Keshav ji, real quick.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe, Keshav ji, please.
Radhe Radhe. Thanks for giving me the time. There are a couple of things I would like
Your voice is not audible, Keshav ji.
to add. The difference between devotion. Is it okay now?
Yes,
Is
better.
it okay? Am I audible?
Yes, much.
Okay. Let me park the car here. Let me park the car here. Give me.
Your voice is breaking, Keshav ji. I think you may want to stop the car. Yeah.
Okay. I'll park the car. So now coming to the point, devotion and worship. Is it okay now? Puja. Puja, not bhakti. That is just worship, not devotion. I've heard Kripaluji Maharaj clearly perfectly okay. And like puja in the Navratri, in our home, for 8 or 9 days, we don't bring onions and garlic. I mean, piyaj and lasan, as you know. No egg, forget it. But even lasan, adrik not allowed. So that is what worship we are doing. But bhakti is for Purushottam Krishna, and Krishna, Bhagavan Purushottam alone. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice, Keshav ji, and thank you. You are driving the car, you parked the car, and then gave your insights around it. So thank you so much for that.
My grandson is with me.
Okay, okay.
And I had taken him to say,
Yeah, your voice is, I think your voice is breaking. Yeah, your grandson is there. So hello to your grandson from our side as well. So thank you so much. Your voice is breaking. I think there's some network problem, but Purushottam Krishna made it sure that when you're talking about him at that time, your voice was clear. So
yeah.
thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Keshavji.
Thank
Yeah.
you. All right. So with that, we come to the end of our session. Okay. All right. Okay. So there are no entries. Anybody who wants to check? We can take and then wrap it up. Yes, Sandhya, go ahead.
Yes.
We'll take one.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
We've decided to wrap it up by 10:15 every day, okay? Because a lot of people have to sleep and get up in Brahma Muhurat, so we'll cooperate with that. Go ahead, Sandhya.
Can I just take 30 seconds and turn that off? That beep.
Okay, I think there was something beep. We were not able to hear though, but that is good. Meanwhile,
Oh, my broiler was making sound. That's okay. Now I'm back. Sorry.
yeah, go ahead, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. तुम मेरे थे मेरे हो मेरे रहोगे बहको न अब बहकाने से जब समझ प्रेम में डूब गई तब क्या होगा समझाने से तुम मेरे थे मेरे हो मेरे रहोगे बहको न अब बहकाने से दे दो ऐसी विरह वेदना मिट जाए मम अहम चेतना दे दो ऐसी विरह वेदना मिट जाए मम अहम चेतना और अधिक चमकेगा सोना पुनि पुनि अग्नि तपाने से तुम मेरे थे मेरे हो मेरे रहोगे बहको न अब बहकाने से जब समझ प्रेम में डूब गई तब क्या होगा समझाने से तुम मेरे थे मेरे हो मेरे रहोगे डन
Very nice. Thank you, Sandhya. Beautiful bhajan and very nicely sung. Loved it. Okay, so maybe I can sing a couple of lines and then we'll wrap it up. Okay. मोहन तेरे चरणों की जो धूल ही मिल जाए सच कहता हूँ मेरी तकदीर बदल जाए मोहन तेरे चरणों की जो धूल ही मिल जाए सच कहता हूँ मेरी तकदीर बदल जाए सुनता हूँ कृपा तेरी, दिन रात बरसती है, एक बूंद जो मिल जाए, मन की कली खिल जाए, मोहन तेरे चरणों की। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, मोहन तेरे चरणों की। Okay, all right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you again for the wonderful session and for your enthusiastic participation. Tomorrow we have our quiz day and we have our photo day as well. So look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and do prepare. It's going to be 2 weeks of syllabus this time around. So all the best, and I'll see you tomorrow. Radhe Radhe, good night, good day from my side. Thank you. And please fill out the feedback tracker if not already. Thank you.
Yes, I have shared already. Thank you, Nitinji, for such a beautiful session and such a beautiful Bhavpurn bhajan. Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for wonderful, wonderful participation. Stay blessed. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, everyone.